Legends of Valor. So some of you know that Legends of Valor is one of my favorite games that I had growing up as a kid. And actually, what was so nice about Legends of Valor was that it was a revolutionary game for its time. It was one of the first games with a full 3D world, and it was an open world. This was before the Elder Scrolls series. This was before the kinds of things you would expect to see with a modern open game. It had generative dialogue in that there was a tree, well, crudely generative. So there was a tree, and you could run into NPCs that were randomly generated, and say hail, and they come up to you and say, "What is your name? What is your religion? What is your trade? What is your et cetera, et cetera?" And they give you an answer, and it's randomized from a catalog. It had a quest system. There were guilds inside the game, and the goal of the game was to find your cousin Sven. So the plot of the game was that you came to Middle Dwarf, the town that's an open world, because your cousin Sven said there's tons of economic opportunity. And there were 3 different races: human, dwarf, and elf. You pick which one you want to play. And when you come in, you soon discover he's nowhere to be found. And then you start going to all these different places, and you find notes. The last note you find tells you to join the guilds to uncover a conspiracy. There's 4 guild types: a thief guild type, mercenary guild type, church type, and a magic type. 2 magic guilds, 2 mercenary guilds, and 4 temples and 1 thief guild. You join them. Each one you join, you get a skull of the north, south, west, east, and an orb. You use it with a book. You summon a demon. The demon tells you that the former king has been deposed by the new king, and you have to rescue the former king. You go and rescue him, and you should get an ending. Unfortunately, the studio that made it released it unfinished because they were running out of money for that project. So I played it, and as a kid, I had no idea that the game didn't have an ending. So I kept playing, and I kept playing, and it became like my white whale. It was an obsession. I spent months and months and months meticulously mapping out the entire city, because they shipped the game in a box and it came with this map, and I would annotate each of the houses. I went through all the quests. I went through every aspect of that game. It took me years of my childhood. And only when eBay came out, my brother, for a birthday gift, he bought me the clue book for the game, which I was never able to get a copy of. And when I looked through the whole clue book, it said, "Oh, by the way, the game has no ending." I cannot tell you how insanely disheartening it is to have spent years of your life doing something only to find out that it was impossible to do. You can't win it. Now, normal people, they just give up and move on. But I'm a pretty pedantic, slightly autistic person, and I just never let the obsession go. So I always kept it in my heart that I have to finish this game and make it better. So eventually, I broke down and I bought the actual rights to the game, the intellectual property for it. So not only do I own Legends of Valor, I own Legends of Valor. I own the IP for the entire game. Now, it didn't come with any source code worth a damn, and I disassembled the code, and it's not just sitting there. And I've written over 120 pages of game notes, and I'm taking a look at a lot of emerging technologies that I think would be amazing for a remake of the game. Things like Chat GPT, the next generation with GPT-4, I think would be perfect for that generative dialogue, replacing the dialogue trees. Random NPC generation, I think there's tons of things that you can do there. I think you can actually create a living city. There were a lot of really innovative stubs. Like there was a beautiful innovative stub of a trading system in the game, but it was very crude. You can actually build a proper economy inside the game world. The reason why you couldn't leave the city is it was supposedly under quarantine, although they never had time to finish that game mechanic, and so they never mentioned it in the game world. I think you really could put something special there. And obviously, the entire combat magic system needs to be overhauled. There was no class system, no leveling system, because the game predated those mechanics. So it's a heavy lift, and it's definitely a huge amount of things to do. And what I've done is I've just kind of put it on the shelf because I haven't had time to pursue it. But it is an old passion of mine, and it's something since I was 8 years old that I've just really, really wanted to get to and finish. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do it. I think I'm going to do 2 releases. One is an enhanced edition that tries to bring the game into the modern age, and it'll be built into the browser. So we'll write the whole game in something like TypeScript. and use like Babylon JS and basically build a crude engine and have a faithful reproduction with major enhancements to make it playable, because it's not playable in a modern sense. You have to use DOSBox, and it's quite crude, and it wouldn't be a lot of fun for a lot of a lot of people. And then actually do a AAA rebuild, using the Unreal Engine, and make it a game comparable with Baldur's Gate 3.